Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya
Narayanam Namaskritya
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayam Udirayet
Tato Jayam Udirayet
Srimvatam Swakatah Krishna
Srimvatam Swakata Krishna
Shravana Kirtana
Punyasravana Kirtana
Hridyantasto hi Abhadrani
Shrujantosthya Badrani
Vidhunoti Sahrit Satam
Vidhunoti Sahritsatam
Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu
Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhaktir Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttamasloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Devaki Nandanaya Cha
Devaki
Devaki
Nandanaya
Nandanaya cha
Nanda Gopa Kumaraya
Nanda Gopa Kumaraya
Govindaya Namo Namaha.
Govindaya
Govinda
Namo
Namo
Namaha.
Hare Krishna devotees, welcome. So last week we completed the 7th chapter, the son of Drona, Aswadhama punished. So if you recollect the story, Ashwadhama threw the Brahmastra to kill the children of Pandavas who are sleeping at the time, weaponless. So as a retaliation, Arjuna went about and captured Ashwadhama. He brought Ashwadhama to everybody else, Pandavas and Draupadi, and they all finally, some of them decided to punish him by killing directly, and some wanted to save him. Especially Bhima and Krishna wanted him to be killed, and rest of the Pandavas, they wanted to save him because he's representing the spiritual master. So finally, he was kind of half killed, in the sense he was insulted by taking out the jewel from his forehead and was sent back, and his hair is also taken out. So Ashwadhama was sent back alive. So after this, what happened? So Ashwadhama, so that's the beginning of the next chapter. So this chapter is titled, 8th chapter is titled Prayers of King Kuntī. Now that when the war is over, so Lord Krishna would establish Yudhishthira Maharaj as the king, and he is planning to leave to Dwarka. So that was the context. So let's read from the beginning. So the story begins with Lord Krishna consoling the Pandavas because they have lost their their family lineage, family members. So that's the beginning of this chapter. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Just 1 second. Yeah, 8th chapter primarily had 4 sections. The first 4 verses, Lord Krishna pacifying the Pandavas who have lost their family members, especially the children of the Pandavas. And then the next set of verses, the Ashwadama who left the place, he retaliates again by throwing another Brahmastra to kill the final devotee in the family of Pandavas, which is Parīkṣit Maharaj, the one who is supposed to become the king after Pandavas. Right? He just want to eliminate all the Pandavas from the earth. So he throws Brahmastra, and Lord Krishna actually saves Parīkṣit in the womb of Uttara, the wife of Abhimanyu. So we'll hear about that pastime. And then followed by this incident, Queen Kuntī prays to Lord Krishna. So that is the section, we'll leave it for next week. That is the essence of this chapter. So we'll cover 1 to 17 as much as we can. Yeah. And then final section is Lord's interaction with Yudhishthira Maharaj. So yeah. So the first 2 verses, yeah, let's read the verses directly. Shri Shuta Uvacha
Uvacha
Atate Samparetanam
pathate
Ate
samparetanam
Swanam Uddham Ichatam
swanamudakachitam
Datum Sakrishna Gangayam
datum sakrishna gangayam
Puraskritya Yayuh Sriya.
puraskritya yayushriya.
Yeah, please read.
Suta Goswami said, thereafter the Pandavas, the desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganges with Draupadi. The ladies walked in front.
This is basically a custom in India, in the Hindu society. First, when a relative passes away, the ladies fought in the front, and everybody goes to Ganges, and the water will be offered. So continue, Prabhu, this part. Yeah, can you read?
Sorry, Prabhu, I got muted. To date, it is custom in Hindu society to go to the Ganges or any other sacred river to take bath when death occurs in the family. Each of the family members pour out a pot full of the Ganges water for the departed soul and walks in the procession with the ladies in the front.
So this was even followed by Pandavas 5,000 years back. Tenini yodakam sarve
Tenini yodakam sarve
vilapya cha brisham puna
Vilapya cha brisham puna
apluta haripadabja
apluta haripadabja
Rajaputa Sarijale.
Rajaputa sarijale.
Please read, anyone?
Having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganges water, they bathed in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord.
Lord Krishna doesn't need to follow these rituals, but just like any family member, he followed them. Along with all the Pandavas, he was there. So he also went there. Well, but because he was there, the water was purified just by his presence. Tatrasinam kuru patim
Tatrasinam kuru patim
Pratim
Dhritarashtram sahanujam
Dhritarashram sahanujam
Gandharim putra sokartham
Gandharim Putsokartam
Pritham Krishnam cha Madhava.
Pritam Krishnam Chamadava.
Please read.
There sat the king of the Kurus, Maharaj Yudhishthira, along with his younger brothers and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. Lord Krishna was also there.
So everybody was there, not just Pandavas, even Dhritarashtra, Gandhari were there, because even their family members were also passed away. So everybody was grieving the death and they're performing the last rites. Yeah. All the principal dead bodies in some way or the other related with each other, and therefore the family grief was combined. Yeah. Lord Krishna was also one of them as a cousin of the Pandavas and nephew. Lord was therefore equally sympathetic towards all of them. Therefore, he began to sympathize fittingly. Let's read. Santavyam Asha Munibhir
Munibhir
Hatabandhum Sucharpitam Bhuteshu Kalasya Gatim
Bhuteshu kalasya
Darshayana Pratikriyam.
Darshayanna Pratikriyam.
Please read.
Citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon living beings, Lord Sri Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected.
So Lord Krishna is pacifying. Lord Krishna and other great rishis were there, along with Pandavas and Kauravas, were lamenting for the beloved ones who were lost. So they were quoting how the stringent laws of nature work and their reactions. Yeah, continue, Mataji.
The stringent laws of nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be altered by any living entity. The living entities are eternally under the subjugation of the Almighty Lord. The Lord makes all the laws and orders, and these laws and orders are generally called dharma or religion. No one can create any religious formula.
So the stringent laws of nature are basically, everybody has, in this world, certain karma through which they are born in this world, and it cannot be changed. Meaning, of course, practice of devotion service dilutes it, but in general, prarabdha karma which forced you to be born in a certain body, these things cannot be changed. And everybody who is born in this world has to die. Birth, death, old age, and disease are the laws of this material world. Nobody can overcome that. While living in the material world, we have to go through and accept these laws. As long as we are in the material world, our duty is to follow the orders of the Lord. And if by the grace of the Lord, we are liberated from the clutches of material world, then in our liberated state, also we can render transcendental loving service to the Lord. So even after liberation, one continues to perform devotion service. Devotion service does not stop. Continue, Mataji, here.
Unfortunately, under the influence of illusory material energy, we accept this part life of only a few years as our permanent existence, and thus become illusioned by possessing so-called country, home, land, children, wife, community, wealth, etc., which are false representations created by Maya illusion. And under the dictation of Maya, we fight with one another to protect these false possessions. By cultivating spiritual knowledge, we can realize that we have nothing to do with all this material paraphernalia. Then at once we become free from material attachment. This clearance of the misgivings of material existence at once takes place by association with the Lord's devotees who are able to inject the transcendental sound into the depths of the bewildered heart and thus make one practically liberated from all lamentation and illusion.
We see in the world every day, we are practically witnessing how people fight for land, home, so many fights. Now there is this Russian war with Ukraine, right? But how does it matter after 50 years when the president is dead? But while living, we think this is my land, this is my property. So many attachments were formed. But this one lifetime is like just a flash in the eternity of the existence of the soul. This one lifetime is just like a flash. But while living in this world, people are so much entangled, thinking that this is my family, this is my land, this is my country, and fight with neighbors, fight with fellow human beings for what is a temporary arrangement. And they continue to exist in this world again and again. And human behaviors do not change. You see, 50 years back, there was World War. Again, there are circumstances that are creating a similar environment again. So, because the people's behavior will continue to be similar again and again because of the illusion they undergo, right? Thousands of years back also, similar things happened, right? Again, but the illusion is a constant force that binds them, conditioned jiva to the material existence, and similar things keep on happening. Only by studying scriptures in the association of devotees, we come to understand these are not these are temporary things, right? And we can learn from the world experience what we should do, what we should not do, right? So we can see with a spiritual eye everything that's happening around us. Otherwise, we may become angry or upset or frustrated with all the situations in this world, right? The whole like I was reading a different perspective of the whole corona incident that happened. Time and again, nature tries to cleanse itself when there is too much aggression by the people of this world. So this whole corona was just a simple cleansing process that nature undertook to cleanse this world. And even the world wars keep happening because we want to reduce the burden of unwanted people. This happened in Mahabharata, happened in World War I, World War II. Again, it can happen again. This world is never a place for peaceful existence. It can, these world wars are part of this nature of this world. It keep happening. Even though nobody has expected. The Ukrainian people would not have expected that they would become refugees in a month, right? Like 2 months back, they would not have imagined that this calamity would fall on them. But most of them are now displaced. I was reading somewhere like almost few million people were displaced, meaning they basically gave up their home, land. Some of them lost their family members, and they flee to other countries with nothing, no job, no nothing to really carry with them. Right? So that's the situation of this material world. That's the nature of this world. Right now we are not seeing, but we can see from other people's experience the nature of this world. Yeah, and how can we see the situation appropriately through the knowledge of scriptures, through the association of the devotees, who can see everything with spiritual vision. So through their words, we can understand what is happening. And Lord Krishna was pacifying through this, wisdom by sharing that, the laws of nature are very stringent. Sadhayitva jata shatro
साधयित्वा जन्मसवित्रो
swamrajyam kitavaihitam
साम्राज्यं कितवैहितं
घातयित्वा शतो राज्ञा
घातयित्वा सतो राज्ञः
कचस्पृशा क्षतायुषा.
कचस्पर्शाक्षतायुषः.
Please read.
The clever Duryodhana and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthira, who had no enemy. By the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous kings who joined with Duryodhana were killed by him. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi.
Sadhajitva jato satra. Ajata satra actually. Ajata satra. Ajata satra means one who does not have any enemy. Yudhishthira Maharaj is considered Ajata Satru, who never had any enemy. But the cruel and clever Duryodhana tried to usurp the kingdom of Yudhishthira. But by the prowess of Lord Krishna, the kingdom was restored to Yudhishthira Pandavas, basically. And all these Duryodhana and party were killed in this effort. And whoever had joined Duryodhana were also killed. So they actually, the biggest sin that Duryodhana and party performed was mishandling Queen Draupadi by insulting her, trying to disrobe her and holding her hair by hand. Dussasana did that activity. So that is considered a very, very sinful activity, to touch a woman who is pure and a great devotee also. Right? In the glorious days or before the advent of age of Kali, the Brahmanas, the cows, the women, the children, and the old men were properly given protection. So these are the 5 types of people who were given protection. Please continue, Mataji, read.
The protection of Brahmanas maintains the institution of Varna and Ashrama, the most scientific culture for attainment of spiritual life.
When Prabhupada wanted to establish ISKCON movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, his goal was to make a society of Brahmanas. That's what ISKCON is literally, where spiritual knowledge is spread throughout this world. There is knowledge of this of the scriptural wisdom available everywhere in the world. And he accomplished across the world. He had started so many temples and farmhouses and schools, that this particular institute was kind of re-established. Brahmanas who are willing to share the scriptural wisdom is made available through the institute that Prabhupada started. So in a way, so this goal was fulfilled by Prabhupada. Continue.
The protection of cows maintains the most miraculous form of food, that is milk, for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain, for understanding higher aims of life.
So you see, in most of the countries, they don't acknowledge this. They kill cows. So that is why their intelligence goes down. So especially this, when so finer tissues of the brain for understanding higher aims of life. When one drinks milk, which is raised, the cows which were protected, such cows give milk that nourishes our spiritual intelligence, meaning we start inquiring about the purpose of life. But today cows are not protected like they are supposed to be. So we don't have the same effect.
The protection of women maintains the chastity of society, by which we can get a good generation for peace, tranquility, and progress of life.
Yeah, women should be protected.
The protection of children gives the human form of life its best chance to prepare the way of liberty from material bondage. Such protection of children begins from the very day of begetting a child by the purificatory process of Garbhadhan Samskara, the beginning of pure life.
So children should be protected. And in fact, in the Vedic culture, the children are brought to this world through following the Garbhadhan Samskara. So it's a purificatory process that is followed before even begetting the children.
The protection of the old men gives them a chance to prepare themselves for better life after death.
They should not be in anxiety. Old men and women, they should not be left out, to live on their own. They should be protected so that they can focus on spiritual sadhana at the fag end of their life. So in this way, the Vedic society was preparing everybody to go closer to the ultimate purpose of life, to go closer to Krishna. So the whole thing was organized so very well. So hopefully one day world recognizes the greatness of the Vedic culture. Otherwise, you see like so many fights between the countries. We thought socialist culture failed in 90s. Now we are seeing, when capitalist culture failed. So ultimately one day, hopefully they'll all realize, Vedic culture is the best.
Prabhuji, I have a question here.
Yes.
So in the initial statement, it's saying, how heinous act was what Dushasan did to Draupadi. But then immediately after that, it's saying like, before the age of Kali, the women and children were given protection. Isn't this kind of contradictory in this particular case, where we are talking about what happened to Draupadi versus
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah. So why that happened to Draupadi even though she was born in age Dwapar Yuga, which is before Kali Yuga? No?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
I mean, there are incidents that there are unscrupulous people like demons, like Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. They're all violators are always there. It's not like I'm talking about 99% of the general populace. They were following the proper principles, but
Sure.
yeah, but yeah, Dussasana and Kauravas, they were very bad people. So they were doing this.
Okay. Fine, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yajayitva medhaistam Yajayitva swameidhaistvam tribhir uttamakalpakai abjasha pavanam dikshu shatamanyo vivatanot
Lord Krishna caused 3 well-performed Ashwamedha Yagnas, horse sacrifices, to be conducted by Maharaja Yudhishthira, and thus caused his various fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices.
So Lord Krishna engaged Maharaj Yudhishthira to perform 3 horse sacrifices, Aswamedha Yajnas. And because of this, his glory was spread all over the world. Just like King Indra when he performed 100 such sacrifices. I mean, there is no comparison between earthly being and a heavenly being. Heavenly being is far superior. However, because Yudhishthira Maharaj was a great devotee, and he only performed 3 Ashwamedha yajnas, he is compared or even better than, considered better than Indra, because he is a devotee. Devotee's position is always superior to all the demigods, and hence there's such a comparison. Otherwise, earthly beings are never compared to people of higher planetary systems. So that's what Prabhupada says here. The comparison of Yudhishthira Maharaj. You want to read, Mataji? Yeah?
I have a question, Prabhuji. Why Ashwamedha Yagam is they're told to be giving a lot of punyam and all? It's just getting one more land, right? That's what I understand. You send the horse, and then wherever the horse goes, that land belongs to the king. But why it is called punya?
Oh, the reason is, so when Yudhishthira Maharaj rules the world, it is ideal for the world. The reason is, he is a pure devotee. When a devotee becomes the ruler of the world, naturally he will make all the world follow Krishna consciousness. He will make arrangement for the world to go back to Krishna. So it is Lord Krishna's internal desire that the whole world be ruled by Yudhishthira Maharaj. And it is for the betterment of the entire world. So when you compare, Alexander the Great versus Yudhishthira Maharaj, the desires motivating the performance of activities they did were different. So the Britishers, these people just want to assert the various lands just to dominate and pull out whatever they can, like get their riches, right? Get the natural resources. But Yudhishthira Maharaj was doing this primarily motivated by Krishna. You see, Lord Krishna caused 3, means it is not the desire of Yudhishthira Maharaj to expand. It is the desire of Krishna that Yudhishthira Maharaj expand his kingdom to the all over the world. Because when the king is a devotee, naturally the world would flourish and more people will have the opportunity to go back to Godhead. And naturally that is desire of the Supreme Lord, because the whole purpose of existence, the material existence, is that the jivas get the opportunity to go back to Godhead. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj is the king, that is most easily accomplished. See, there is a spiritual vision behind such activity. Although it appears like mundane, mundane kings will try to expand their land. It appears externally the same, but see, the cause is different here. Lord Krishna caused. You're clear?
Oh, but this is there's a Yudhishthira Maharaj is a special case where the Lord Himself is inducing them to do it. But in general, I think what Mataji was going after is when other kings perform Ashwamedha Yajna, it's more of a desire to expand their.
So that's why I'm saying for this case it is different. But in general, people try to do horse sacrifice just to expand their land, which is not desirable. I mean, unless he's a great king and has great motivation to improve the situation of the world, it's not really recommended. If it is to just assert the land and increase the domination. So this desire is always internal. See, now the same thing is going on. There are countries which are considered superpower, right? Like America and China, they consider themselves like superpowers. Anybody who tries to interfere, they take it like insult. Any war that happens, they have to be. So there is, So this attitude is different from what we see in this verse.
Correct, Prabhuji. I was asking in general only because people consider that activity itself as punya, like not by told by Krishna, but in general itself. Somewhere I read Ashwamedadikam punya means
Hmm.
Ashwamedha yagam is as though it's very glorified that much.
Correct. Yeah. Anyway, Ashwamedham, Gavalambam, these are all prohibited in Kali Yuga. Gavalambam means sacrificing cows. Ashwamedha means killing horses. The idea again in this process, Ashwamedha means it's going the horse is going to die in the process. However, the life is revived with a younger body for the animal. When cow was cow was given a younger body, the old cow will be transformed into a younger cow, and that is possible because the people are very powerful. The brahmanas who are performing sacrifice, and this is like a testimony for the successful performance of the yajna. So they would perform the sacrifice to satisfy Vishnu, and as part of this they sacrifice Ashwa, and if the Ashwa revives the body, then the sacrifice is considered successful, and that was happening before Kali Yuga. But in current Kali Yuga, before Kali Yuga, but in Kali Yuga, this capability is not there with people in general. So that's why in Kali Yuga 5 things are prohibited. These two are sannyasam is another thing. A couple other things are there. So these things are prohibited in Kali Yuga.
Yeah, but I think the other point is even in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, right, where the yajna has to be performed as a sacrifice in the form of us showing gratitude towards the Lord and also to the demigods and others, right? Because the rain comes from sacrifice, and so he's asking everybody to perform sacrifice. In the previous yugas, one of the ways of sacrifice is through this yajna, Sumedha yajna, Rajasuya yajna, and others.
Correct.
More as a gratitude rather than as a land grab, I would think. But
yeah, there are sacrifices like that also. Yeah, yajna. The purpose of yajna, is the principle of sacrifice, meaning what you could enjoy instead you are offering to the Lord, right? So that's the purpose of any sacrifice. The principle of sacrifice is the idea that you could have enjoyed that, but you're offering for the pleasure of the Lord. That was the principle of sacrifice.
Right.
Yeah. And for Kali Yuga, the principle is again the principle of sacrifice is what is the principle sacrifice for Kali Yuga?
Sankirtan.
Sankirtan Yajna, yes. To perform Nam Sankirtan, because there is nothing else effective. So to achieve anything, like there are 2 principal methods. One is through proper procedures and controls in place. The other is to surrender. In Kali Yuga, only the second process works. The first process doesn't work. If you are in need of help, if you ask somebody to pray for you, it works better. Because in Kali Yuga, the ability to perform procedures to achieve anything is not there. So in any types of approaches to the higher reality, to absolute truth, or to achieve anything subtle, the best way is surrender. Prapanna is the right approach in Kali Yuga. So the ideal method of worship for Kali Yuga is japa, because in japa you are offering your consciousness. There is nothing else you can offer in this Kali Yuga, because of impure elements and the facilities are not there. So the best is offering your heart, and that's why the japa becomes the best process, the best form of sacrifice in Kali Yuga.
Prabhuji, but for Kali Yuga, it's only the first 10,000 years matters, right, Prabhu? Or
for first 10,000 years, yeah, there is, it's called Yuga Sandhya, the period between full-fledged Kali Yuga, right, begins. So in this period is golden age, where it's almost as good as Satya Yuga in terms of people really performing spiritual activities. But after this age, again, full Kali Yuga takes effect, and things will only degrade from there.
So the Nam Sankirtan still works in Kali Yuga, the entire Yuga, right?
Entire Yuga, but its prominence will reduce. In the first 10,000 years will be, it will be flourishing all over the world. Every village, at one point, almost everybody would know about holy name. Yeah, so that will happen. It will flourish like anything in the first 10,000 years. In the next few, centuries maybe. But after that, after 10,000 years, it will slowly start going down. By the end of Kali Yuga, it will be gone fully. Yeah,
yes.
So that is expected. Yeah. So this is what we discussed already. Because he's a pure devotee. He was a pure devotee. He was compared to that of King of Heaven. Amantriya Panduputramscha
Mantrapanduputramscha
Saineyodhava Samyuta
Saineyodhava Samyuta
Dvaipayanadhir Viprai
Dvaipayanadhir
Pujitae Pratipujita
Pujitae Pratipujita.
Please read.
Lord Krishna.
Sorry, go ahead, Mataji.
It's okay, Prabhuji. You can go ahead.
Thank you. Lord Sri Krishna then preferred for his departure. He invited the sons of Pandu after having been worshipped by the Brahmanas, headed by Srila Vyāsadeva. The Lord also reciprocated greetings.
Now the war is over. This is like quick transition. The chief pastimes were being explained here. So first, initially they performed final rituals, and now Lord Krishna was departing Hastinapur to go back to Dwarka. So you see here, he invited the sons of Pandu after having worshipped by the Brahmanas headed by the Vyasadeva. Generally, Lord Krishna is Kshatriya. In those times, Brahmanas would not worship Kshatriyas like this, but because Lord is Supreme Lord, he is worshipped headed by Vyasadeva himself, the highest authority, Vedic authority. And Lord also reciprocated the greetings. He doesn't need to reciprocate, but Lord also paid obeisances to them in equal terms. Continue, Prabhu.
Apparently, Lord Sri Krishna was Kshatriya and was not worshipable by the Brahmanas, but the Brahmanas present there, headed by Srila Vyāsadeva, all knew him to be a personality of Godhead, and therefore they worshipped him. The Lord reciprocated the greetings just to honor the social order that Kshatriya is obedient to the orders of the Brahmanas. Although the Lord Sri Krishna was always offered the respect due the Supreme Lord from all responsible quarters. The Lord never deviated from the customary usage between the four orders of society. The Lord purposely observed all the social customs so that the others would follow him in the future.
Lord would always set a great example for others to follow. Gantum Kritamatir Brahman Dvarakam Ratamastita Upalebhe Abhidhavantim Uttaram Bhaya Vihvalam. Uttaram Bhaya Vihvalam means Uttara, the wife of Abhimanyu, who passed away in the war. She was afraid of the situation, some situation that happened. And Lord was about to start Gantum Kratamatir Brahman. Right? He was about to leave to Dwaraka, and suddenly Uttara came with a lot of fear. Yeah, please read.
As soon as he seated himself on the chariot to start for Dwaraka, he saw Uttara hurrying toward him in fear.
It's a very nice purport by Prabhupada. Please read.
All the members of the family of the Pandavas were completely dependent on the protection of the Lord, and therefore the Lord protected all of them in all circumstances. The Lord protects everyone, but one who depends completely upon him is especially looked after by the Lord. The father is more attentive to the little son who is exclusively dependent on the father.
So Pandavas have a natural affection and dependence on the Lord. Pandavas, even including Uttara, who is Pandava's daughter-in-law, they're all pure devotees, and they have full surrender to God, and Lord would always equally reciprocate with them. Just like the example given is, there may be multiple children for a father, but if suppose the little son is always dependent on father, father would naturally reciprocate, right? If the child depends on the father or mother, they reciprocate more with that particular child because of the dependence that the child exhibits. So devotees are also taken care by the Lord in the similar fashion. They depend on the Lord. Whenever there is a tough time, they just depend on Lord. So in the case of Uttara, we'll read next verse. It's a very nice verse. Uttarvacha Mahavyogin
Pahi
Pahi Mahayogin
Devadeva Jagatpate
Devadeva Jagatpate
Anyam Tvad Abhayam Pasya
Nanyam Abhayam Pasye
Yatra Mrityu Parasparam.
Parasparam.
Beautiful word. Pahi Pahi Mahayogin. So Uttara was crying, Pahi Pahi. Oh my Lord, please protect us. Jagatpate, the Lord of the universe, Krishna. Now Anyam Tvat Abhayam. Except for you, nobody can give fearlessness. Abhayam. Abhayam Pasya. I don't see any fearlessness except for in you. Yatra Mrityu Parasparam. In this world of duality and death, except for you, there is no shelter. Abhayam Pasya. Please read.
Uttara said,
Lord of Lords,
Yeah. Please, one of
O
you.
Lord of Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality.
The nature of this world is like that. And naturally, you see here, Uttara, she has Arjuna as her father-in-law. He's a great king. So she saw something approaching him. And Arjuna was a great bowman. He can throw arrows like nobody else. But you see here, Uttara was not dependent on Arjuna. And there are other great kings. They are the best in the world. The 5 Pandavas, they are the best and strongest people in the world. Who won the world. Entire world was already won by them. But Uttara would not remember any of their names. she would just call for Krishna. And neither any of them feel, hey, why Uttara is calling Krishna? Why not? Sometimes we feel like that. If the person is not expecting from us, while we can do something about it, they only call for somebody else, right? We might feel a little bit offended, but nobody feels, because they're all equally dependent on Krishna, right? So similarly, we see in the life of Pandavas also, right? We see in the case of Arjuna, when Arjuna and Duryodhana, both of them approached Lord Krishna to help in the war, and Arjuna was given the first chance to choose, and Krishna simply says, hey, I don't want to be part of either of your camp. I don't want to pick the weapon. I'll be there. You can pick either my Sena, Vishnu Sena, or me. One of you can pick Vishnu Sena, one of you can pick me. But if whichever party I am in, I'm not going to contribute at all. So this chance was given to both Duryodhana and so sound is coming. So this chance was given to both Duryodhana and Arjuna. And Arjuna, being the youngest, was given the first chance to pick. And what did Arjuna pick? Anybody?
Krishna.
Yeah.
Lord
Krishna.
Krishna to be on his side. That's all. Because having Krishna on their side is what devotee wants. That's all. He doesn't want anything else. He did not measure, oh, so many people means so many, my Sena will increase by this much size and I can fight better. He didn't. Devotees do not make any other consideration. They just have Krishna, they're happy.
I have a question here, Guruji. Why Krishna has to support Duryodhana also? He did wrong thing. Krishna went and spoke with him. Then also he did not listen. Why he didn't give both Vishnu Sena and himself support to Arjuna?
See, both are family members. So he cannot say no to. If somebody asks something, Krishna will never say no. So he knows very well what he will pick. And ultimately, he knows what is going to happen with all of this. Yeah. So he gave, just to show Arjuna's greatness, he was given the first chance and he picked the right thing. Right? And jokingly, Krishna laughs at Arjuna. Hey, I gave you the first chance, but you picked the wrong choice. Arjuna would, was very happy with his choice. He would not lament for it. Yeah, so devotees, when given a chance, they always go to the, to make the right same choice. They always want Krishna, right? So here Uttara was doing the same thing. She simply surrendered to Krishna in this situation. Right? Nobody else can protect. Nobody else can give fearlessness except for Krishna. No one else who can save me from the clutches of death. Yeah, please continue. Mataji.
The material world is the world of duality in contrast with the oneness of absolute realm. The world of duality is composed of matter and spirit, whereas the absolute world is complete spirit without any tinge of material qualities. In the dual world, everyone is falsely trying to become the master of the world, whereas in the absolute world, the Lord is the absolute Lord, and all others are his absolute servitors. In the world of duality, everyone is envious of all others, and death is inevitable due to dual existence of matter and spirit. The Lord is the only shelter of fearlessness for the surrendered soul.
See, this world is full of dualities. Because there is combination of matter and spirit, there is death in this world. So Lord is the only shelter of fearlessness for the surrendered soul. Yeah. You see, in the Ukraine, there were some temple devotees who are only requesting them to be remembered in the prayers. So just look at their consciousness. They are not afraid. They are not fearful. They are serving other people who are in pain. They are able to come above their own petty concerns for life and death. They were ready to help and serve others in this calamity. So that's the nature of the devotees. So that is how our vision develops as we become, more and more of a devotee. Yeah. Abhidravati Mamesha Sarastapta Yasho Vibho
Saraswata Yasho Vibho
Kamam Dahatu Mam Natha Mame Garbho Nipatyatam. Please read.
O my Lord, you are all powerful. A fiery iron arrow is coming towards me fast. My Lord, let it burn me personally if you so desire. But please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord.
So, Uttara's desire is not about saving her life. She saw that a fiery iron arrow is coming, and she wanted to make sure the progeny of Pandavas will continue after the current Pandavas. Let it burn me personally. I am fine to die, but please do not let it burn and abort my embryo. Please do me this favor, my Lord. In today's world, unfortunately, some of the women, they are ready to kill the embryo but save themselves, right? They don't want to own the child. But here in this case, Uttara wants to protect the baby, the embryo, and be ready to burn herself. So that was the culture and nature of the devotees there at that time. Please do me a favor, my Lord. Please continue, Mataji.
The mother of a child has a great responsibility in giving all protection to the child, and therefore Uttara was not ashamed to express this frankly before Lord Krishna. Uttara was the daughter of a great king, the wife of a great hero, and student of a great devotee. And later she was the mother of a good king also. She was fortunate in every respect.
Look at Uttara. Her, she was the student of whom? Uttara?
Arjuna.
Arjuna, yeah. She is the wife of a great hero. Who is he?
Abhimanyu.
Abhimanyu. Daughter of a great king. Who is the Uttara's father?
King of Ratha, Sudasena, right?
No, who?
Sudasena?
No.
Virat.
King Virat, yes, correct. And mother of a good king. Who is he?
Parīkṣit Maharaj.
Yes. Parīkṣit Maharaj, yeah. So in every way, very, very fortunate. So, yeah, she was not afraid. So is it? Yeah, she is fully giving herself. She took the responsibility to protect the child, and therefore was not ashamed to express this frankly before the Lord. Of course, who else to go when you are in trouble except for Lord? Suta Uvacha.
Suta Uvacha.
Upadharya Vachastasya.
Upadharya
Vachastasya.
Bhagavan Bhaktavatsala. Pandavam idam kartum. Draunir astram abhudyate. Very beautiful verse in Bhagavan Bhakta Vatsala. One who is very much affectionate toward his devotee. Lord has many great qualities, but his supermost quality is Bhakta Vatsala. When time comes, this becomes the superior property of Lord. He will never go back to in his protection of his devotees. He can go back on his vows. He may promise something and break his promise also for the sake of protecting his devotees. So this is the most prominent quality of the Lord, right? There are so many wonderful qualities of the Lord, but Bhakta Vatsalata means protection and love for the devotees is the highest of all qualities of the Lord, the supermost quality. Please read.
Suta Goswami said, having patiently heard her words, Lord Shri Krishna, who is always very affectionate to his devotees, could at once understand that Ashwathama, the son of Dronacharya, had thrown the Brahmastra to finish the last life in the Pandava family.
So, Lord quickly heard what Uttara was saying, who is always affectionate to his devotees. Lord is always affectionate to his devotees. Immediately understood what has happened. Nobody knows this fiery arrow is coming towards her. Within a split second, Uttara called for Krishna. This all, like we are reading, it takes like 5 minutes for us to read, but it all happened in a split second. She immediately cried. Immediately, Lord understood the situation that Ashwadhama, he threw the another Brahmastra to finish the last life in the Pandava family. Lord can immediately understand the situation. Yeah, continue.
The Pandava family was a family of devotees, and therefore the Lord wanted them to rule the world. That was the reason he vanquished the rule of the company of Duryodhana and established the rule of Maharaj Yudhishthira. Therefore, he also wanted to protect Maharaj Parīkṣit, who was lying in embryo. He did not like the idea that the world should be without the Pandavas, the ideal family of devotees.
Like we were discussing earlier, when there is devotee who is ruling the world, it is the ideal condition. Because more and more people will get the opportunity to perfect their life. Naturally, to protect Dharma, Lord wanted Maharaj Parīkṣit to become the next king, so that the world will be in better hands. So he wanted to protect Parīkṣit, who was lying in the embryo. So that was the reason. Immediately he jumped into action. Let's see what he did. Tarhi evata muni sreshta.
Tarhi evata muni sreshta.
Pandava panchasa sayakan.
Pandava panchasayakan.
Atmano abhimukhan deeptan.
Atmano abhimukhan deeptan.
Alakshyastrani upadadu.
Alakshyastrani upadadu.
Please read.
Who foremost among the great thinkers, Munis, Saunaka, seeing the glaring Brahmastra proceeding towards them, the Pandavas took up their 5 respective weapons.
So immediately Brahmastra was coming in. So Pandavas immediately were preparing themselves. So Prabhupada just compares Brahmastra to the current modern day nuclear weapons. Brahmastras are very pointed. They will achieve the specific desire. So for example, if it is targeted towards Parīkṣit in the womb of Uttara, it only comes to that. It does not even hurt Uttara. So that is how targeted the weapon is. Vyasanam viksha tattesam.
Vyasanam viksha tattesham.
Ananya vishayatmanam. Sudarshanena swastrena.
Sudarshanena
Swanam raksham yadhat vibhu.
Swanam
Swanam
Raksham
raksham yadhat vibhu.
Please read.
The Almighty Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, having observed that a great danger was befalling his unalloyed devotees who were fully surrendered souls, at once took up his Sudarshana disc to protect them.
Lord, originally, still it is in the final stages of the war, right? Because so in a way, Lord should be neutral, but Lord took up the weapon immediately to protect his devotees. Just like when Arjuna was in danger from Bhishma, what did Lord do? Lord immediately, what did he do?
Told he will go for the fight, he will fight, and he took up.
Yeah, he took up, even though he promised, his vow is not to pick up any weapon, he immediately took the chariot wheel to protect Arjuna from Bhishma's ferocity. So Lord is ready to go back on his words, right? In the afterwards, people may say, "Hey, Lord did not follow his vow. He does not care about it. His goal is his Bhaktavatsala comes as the foremost quality. He doesn't care when it comes to saving his devotees." Again, in the similar fashion, when Uttara called out for the help of Krishna, he immediately lift the weapon, Sudarshan Chakra, to protect the child in the womb of Uttara. Yeah, please read.
Bhagavad Gita, the Lord has clearly promised that his devotees are never to be vanquished, and he behaves according to the quality or degree of the devotional service rendered by the devotees. Here, the word Ananya Vishyatmanam is significant. The Pandavas were 10% dependent on the protection of the Lord, although they were all great warriors themselves.
All Pandavas are great warriors, but still, it means that however much great one may be materially, maybe intelligent or have a special position or power in this world, one may be prime minister or president, whatever it may be, but their dependence on God is Ananya Vishayatmana. 100% dependent on protection of the Lord. They know today I was given this position only for my service to the Lord. And as soon as my skill is not required, Lord can take it away. Just like Arjuna realized, after the war was over and even Krishna left the world, he tried to bring the queens from Dwarka to Hastinapur. He couldn't do it. And he was overpowered in archery by ordinary people of this world. So then he realized it is Lord Krishna who gives the power, and it is Lord Krishna who takes away the power when it's not needed. So devotee understands that whatever he has in his position in terms of abilities or skills, they're all given by Krishna. They'll never puff it up. They think that this skill is to be used in the service of Lord for his pleasure. That is the only purpose for which it was given to me. There is no other purpose. So that is the understanding of the devotee always. Yeah, please.
Prabhu, can I ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
So in the example that you gave, of Bhishma Dev and picking up the chariot wheel to defend Arjuna, in that case, both Bhishma Dev as well as Arjuna were both devotees, right? So how did, is it because Bhishma decided to support Duryodhana, that's why he picked up the wheel to defend Arjuna?
Right. So no. So there was, it's a different rasa between the two devotees there. So with Bhishma Dev, okay, the rasa between devotees, again, Lord and devotee, is also matters. So the rasa there is Virya rasa. Okay. So Virya rasa between Bhishma Dev. Bhishma knows very well that Krishna is the Adi Narayan. He's the source of all Narayanas. He knows very well because he speaks about that towards his, at the deathbed, almost towards leaving his body, when he was instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj. So the reason Bhishma Dev did that action, right, to ferociously want to kill, he wanted to make Krishna break his promise. He knows Krishna will do that because he wants to protect his devotee, right? Even though Bhishma was also a devotee, he was there to teach another lesson. The lesson Bhishma was there to teach is, even if you are the greatest fighter, the world's foremost fighter, the greatest powerful person, if you are on the wrong side, you will be vanquished. If you are on the side of adharma, you will be vanquished.
Sai.
I see. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So even though he was a great devotee, he sacrificed his own life to teach that one lesson to the world. You see, the devotees, in whatever situation they are, still they are, there to teach lessons. Right? So he knows very well that was the reason he was on this side. Right?
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
And he knows very well that Krishna will do this because he knows Krishna is Bhaktavatsala. And he wanted to make Krishna break his promise. That is the Virya Rasa with Lord.
And he can die with the hands of Krishna rather than, that may also be a reason, Prabhuji.
Yeah, that may be, but the primary reason is it's called Virya Rasa, means the devotee and Lord are in this exchange of Virya Rasa. In the Virya Rasa, the devotee want to defeat Lord on his promises like this, right? So that was again pleasure giving to Krishna. You see, this Bhishma was so ferocious in his fight that he is able to break my promise, right? So that is a different rasa between the two devotees. Again.
The emergency was more important than the vow. He is better known as the Bhaktavatsala or the lover of his devotee, and thus he preferred to continue as Bhaktavatsala than to be a worldly moralist who never breaks his solemn vow.
Lord doesn't want to be just like a worldly moralist. Antasta sarvabhutanam.
Antasta sarvabhutanam.
Bhutanam.
Atma yogeshwaro hari.
Atma yogeshwaro hari.
Samayayanvarot garbham.
Samayayat garbham.
Vairatya kurutam tave.
Vairatya kurutam tave.
Please read.
The Lord of Supreme Mysticism, Sri Krishna, resides within everyone's heart as the Paramatma. As such, just to protect the progeny of the Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy.
So who is marking lines like that?
Chandana Mataji.
Chandana Mataji.
Oh, sorry, Prabhuji. Actually, this is, sorry, Prabhuji. I'm trying to unmute myself. Something is happening. Sorry for that.
Oh, okay. No worries. I think you were pressing some buttons.
Yeah. Now I stopped doing that, Prabhuji, but I don't know how to erase that. I'm
okay. No worries.
Sorry for that. Yeah.
Should be able to erase 1 second.
I don't know, the mute button didn't pop up. I was trying to do that. Meanwhile, it happened. Sorry.
Oh, okay. No worries. Yeah, I was able to do that. Okay. As such, just to protect the progeny of Kuru dynasty, he covered the embryo of Uttara by his personal energy. So Lord himself entered the embryo of Uttara and protected Parīkṣit Maharaj. Later on, Parīkṣit Maharaj gets overwhelmed just to hear about this. Just by hearing this pastime, he goes into tears. You know that Lord has showered so much love upon him.
But he also saw the Lord when he was in.
And he was, yeah, that is why his name is Parīkṣit. He was always doing Pariksha. Yeah. Yadyapi astram brahma shiras.
Yadyapi
Yastram brahmasiras.
Tvamogham chapratikriyam.
Pratikriyam.
Vaishnavam teja asadhya. Samasamya bhrugudvaha. Please read.
O Shaunaka, glory of Brigu's family. Although the supreme Brahmastra weapon, relieved by Ashwatthama, was irresistible and without check or counteraction, it was neutralized and foiled when confronted by the strength of Vishnu, Lord Krishna.
Yeah. So Brahmastra cannot be countered by any other weapon except for Brahmastra. But Lord is all powerful. He just contracted very easily.
In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that the Brahma Jyoti, or the glowing transcendental effulgence, is resting on Lord Sri Krishna. In other words, the glowing effulgence known as Brahma Tejas is nothing but the rays of the Lord.
Yeah, that we know already. Mamastyahi etad ascharya.
Mamastahi etadascharya.
Sarvascharya Yaidam Maya Devya. Yati Avati Hanti Aja. Yeah, please read.
Namaste, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
The Lord is 10%. 1 minute, please.
No, this one.
The Lord is 10% perfect, whereas others, namely Narayana, Brahma, Shiva, the demigod.
Translation.
Can you read the translation first? No, please.
Oh, sorry. Ji Prabhuji. Oh, Brahmanas, do not think this to be especially wonderful in the activities of the mysterious and infallible personality of Godhead. By his own transcendental energies, he creates, maintains, and annihilates all material things, although he himself is unborn.
Lord, for Lord, this is nothing. So, because he's all powerful, this is not especially wonderful. Many people think, oh, how can this happen? Right? But these are very simple things. Please read, continue.
The Lord is 10% perfect, whereas others, namely Narayana, Brahma, Shiva, the demigods, and all other living beings, possess only different percentages of such perfection. No one is equal to or greater than him. He is unrevealed.
So even Narayana, everybody, all the Gunavataras, they all come from as an expansion of the Supreme Lord. So they will have only a percentage of the perfection of the Supreme Lord. No one is equal.
Prabhuji, Lord Narayana and Lord Vishnu are same, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, they are same in quality. Both are Vishnu Tattva, but one is the source of the other. In the sense, all these other incarnations, they are created for certain purpose. For example, for material creation, there is Kshirodaksa Vishnu, Garbhodaksa Vishnu, and Mahavishnu, right? For specific activities, certain incarnations were to teach certain principles, certain incarnations come, like Narsimha Avatar or all these avatars. And they are the same potency of the Lord, right? But relatively, they're all serving the purpose of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, like the source absolute. Okay, so in that sense, they are considered, they're one and the same. They're also different. In a way, they are considered servant gods of the Supreme Lord.
Okay.
They're God, they're equivalent, but again, they are doing a specific activity, service for the Lord, right? Equal in potency, but again different in terms of their role and purpose. Lord Krishna is the absolute origin of everyone, as per scriptures, right? Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. So many shlokas like that, right? Brahmano hi pratishtaham. So many verses talk about how Lord Krishna is the original source of everything. Brahma Tejo Vinirmuktair
Brahmatejo
Atmajay Saha Krishnaya
Atmajay
Saha Krishnaya
Prayanabhimukham Krishnam
Prayanabhimukham Krishnam
Idam Aha Pratasati.
Idam Naha Pratasati.
Please read.
Thus saved the radiation of Brahmastra, Kuntī, the chaste devotee of Lord, and her 5 sons, Draupadi, addressed Lord Krishna as he started her home.
So overwhelmed by gratitude, they just saw what Krishna did, how Krishna protected. Just before their eyes, they saw how Krishna protected Uttara's womb from this great danger and calamity of Brahmastra. So they were overwhelmed, and Lord was about to leave. At the time, Queen Kuntī, she starts addressing Lord in the next verses. Those are considered Kuntī prayers. So we'll do that next week. But let's read this purport. The last purport for today. Those are the most beautiful prayers of a devotee. There are other great prayers as well, but we can learn so much from these prayers. Next week we'll read that. Yeah, please read this purport.
Kuntī is described herein Sati or chastity due to her alloyed devotion to Lord Krishna. Her mind will now be expressed in the following prayers of Lord Krishna. A chaste devotee of the Lord does not look to others, namely any other living being or demigod, even for deliverance from danger. That was all along the characteristics of the whole family of the Pandavas. They knew nothing except Krishna, and therefore the Lord was also always ready to help them in all respects and in all circumstances. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord. He replicates the dependence of the devotee.
So
the dependence of the devotee.
So this whole thing, the primary practical lesson for us is we can understand from this pastime of the protection of the womb of Uttara by Lord Krishna. The primary lesson is when one has this unalloyed dependence on Lord will surely protect, because he is Bhakta Vatsala. Even Pandavas, who are super powerful, the most powerful men at the time, and everybody, not just Pandavas, the entire family of Pandavas have same dependence, either mother or even Uttara, the next generation. All of them have this full dependence on the Lord. So we can also look at that as a lesson to, develop that exclusive dependence on Lord, right? So that is the primary lesson we can take away from this today's lesson, right? Yeah. So now the next section is Queen Kunti addresses Lord Krishna out of gratitude for what Krishna had done until now. Right? She summarizes all of that and expresses her gratitude. So those are the next verses called Kunti prayers, Kunti Ovach. So these are very beautiful prayers. Don't miss it. So we'll learn them next week. Okay. Thank you all very much. Any questions? Is everything clear or everything is asked already?
Prabhuji, one question out of curiosity. So far, like we have learned, Pandava and their family members, everybody accept Krishna as personality of Godhead. They know it. It's like from the Kaurava side, they're also like wise people, pretty much scholars. Why wouldn't they don't know Krishna is a personality of Godhead? Like for example, Ashwatthama, he should have known he should not misbehave in front of personality of Godhead. So what could be the thought process? What is that like, how it should be seen?
Yeah, Prabhu, there are always, even if Krishna comes today, 99% of people won't believe him. That is the nature of material world. Even though they see, even Duryodhana was seeing Krishna's mystic power when Krishna came as peace messenger to stop the war. At the time, Lord Krishna showed his universal form. Even after witnessing it, you know what he thought? Hey, Krishna, Jadugari, he just made some magic. So that is the nature of demons. The conditioned soul is always covered with illusion. So unless there is surrender, Prapanna, and the blessings of Guru, one will not understand Krishna's supreme position. It's very difficult. Even when we started, what faith do we have in Krishna, right? So we might have some, namesake faith in Krishna's supremacy. It takes blessings. It takes, sadhana. It takes prayers to develop that faith. And most likely these people do not have it, so they are not, they do not consider Krishna as the supreme Lord.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
One question, Prabhuji, out of curiosity. So,
Yes.
we talk about the previous life of Dhritarashtra and all, but who is Duryodhana? Has any mention been made of his previous life? Why he's so cruel?
Duryodhana in his previous life, I am not aware of. I need to check.
And why Krishna told him?
They're all playing this, they're playing a role there. I don't know. Maybe there might be, in a past history for Duryodhana also.
Because he got that you told that he got the universe to see the universal form of Krishna. God was so merciful to him, but he behaved so badly.
Yeah, in spite of that, yeah, he behaved so badly. Unfortunately, you see, sometimes there is so much evidence, still people don't believe in God, right? If you observe nature, it's so evident that there is a higher power, correct? Such orderliness, seasons, day and night, all the necessities of life are arranged, medicines. So there is such perfect arrangement in the nature that itself can teach anybody that there is superior power. But people, there are 90, a lot of people, 80-90% of people who think that there is no God, there is nobody in control. right? So it is the demonic mentality, right? Krishna says 4 types of people do not believe in me, right? Who are they? Anybody? Muda, right? Who else?
Muda and then atheist.
Yeah.
Atheist.
Maya, Aparita Jnana, Asuram Bhavam Asritam. Yeah, Asuras. So there are these, 4 kinds of people who will never surrender. And in Kali Yuga, that is more prominent, unfortunately. It is the nature of age, time and age, right, that affects people's consciousness. So that's the nature of Kali Yuga. 90% of people in this world are going to be like that.
Prabhu, one more question.
Hmm.
Brahmashra was sent by Ashwatthama for all Pandavas, like 6 Brahmastras he left, right? Now, Uttara came for help. But now for Pandavas, they didn't ask for help, but Krishna protected. Now, question is, Krishna knew all these things is going to happen. So why he has to wait and let that happen, or instead of kill the Ashwatthama, or not let the Brahmashra release? I'm just trying to understand the coincidence, like where the Krishna intervenes and where he himself goes and helps the devotees versus wait for the devotees to
So you're
ask.
saying, when Ashwatthama tried to attempt to kill the children of Pandavas, that time itself, Krishna would have, knowing that this guy will again reuse this weapon.
Yes.
He at least told, let's kill this guy.
Yes, he did. Yes.
But Pandavas only, were very kind to him. Even after, the Ashwatthama's nature, even after having received such kindness from Pandavas, he was again going back against them. See how bad such nature of him is, right?
Yes.
But again, as long as Krishna is there, nobody's worried. Krishna will protect. So, yeah. Unfortunately, the children of Draupadi were dead in this process. I mean, you can say they could have been revived by Krishna. I don't know why it didn't happen. I had the same question.
So Krishna intervenes when devotees has come, like Panda had 100% dependence on Krishna. That's why he immediately intervened and stopped the Brahmashra. But for Uttara's case, Uttara has to run.
Yeah, we also had 120% dependence. But as soon as she was afraid, I mean, as soon as she saw that weapon is coming upon her, she immediately took shelter. Being a woman, she was afraid and she cried and immediately ran towards Krishna.
So is it to deliver the pastime, Prabhuji, or there's more significance here for the Uttara coming? It's just because she's woman, or it is just to deliver the pastime of Krishna, delivering protection?
I mean, I think that is, I don't see any issue with that. Like, she ran into, she was in difficulty and she immediately called out for Krishna and took shelter, right? Immediately she took shelter. Draupadi did the same thing, right? When Dussasana was disrobing her, she just raised her hand and surrendered to Krishna immediately. And immediately Krishna protected. So you may say, why would Krishna let all this happen and then do this, right?
Yes.
But Lord does not interfere in the free will of jivas. Jivas will do whatever nonsense they want. And, right, like nobody can stop jivas' free will. They express according to their desires. And things will happen accordingly, according to their karmic, backdrop. And Krishna would intervene whenever needed, right, by devotees' prayers.
Prabhuji, isn't it like, as you said, like unless devotee comes by all surrender, Krishna doesn't, even in Bhagavad Gita, he started giving Bhagavad Gita Gyan only after Arjuna completely surrenders. Isn't that considered here?
Yeah. So unless no, Krishna would always protect, but devotees always surrender. Devotee's nature is, it becomes his second nature to depend on God. Right? And Lord reciprocates according to our surrender. Right? Yayatamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. So I would reciprocate according to one's surrender. Right? Surrender. So partially we try to do things on our own. We take decisions with our own mind. Partially we try to depend on prayers and Krishna and devotees' advice. So accordingly, Lord reciprocates. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. For one who is fully surrendered, just like a child, Lord is, just for simple understanding, take Lord as our own father. Right? Our father, based on how much dependent we are, he's going to help us accordingly. He will reciprocate accordingly. If a child is fully dependent on father for everything, father will do. He wouldn't ever mind this child is a burden for me. Right? Because father, he is going to be reciprocated accordingly. Right? He will never think this child is a burden for me. So similarly, if somebody tries to accomplish by his own efforts, yes, that is also okay. But in Kali Yuga, I was reading somewhere that the best method is prapanna. Mean more than the mantras we chant and everything, it is the intent of the heart and the ardent hope in the heart to surrender to the Lord. That is the most important, most potent form. In fact, so Parasara Samhita, the book of codes, the religious codes for Kali Yuga specifically. There is Manu Samhita also. Manu Samhita is also a book of religious codes. The principles that one should follow in any age, right? That is given. So in Parasara Samhita, it is mentioned, if you are doing some sacrifice or some puja at your home, the best result would be obtained. So the results, the possible options are, you can have your priest do your puja for you. You can have your Sishya do a puja for you. You can have your son do puja for you, or you can do puja yourself. Right? Out of these four, doing Sishya, doing puja by Sishya, like one's disciple, is considered better than the puja offered by a priest. The reason is, in Kali Yuga, Prapannam is the only way of achieving results, meaning the surrender. You don't have pure elements to do any worship. So the Sishya has better empathy for his guru than a regular priest coming from outside. Right? If you call a pujari to do some ceremony at your home, how much his heart is for your problem. You have certain problem and you're, for example, you're worshipping Lord ardently, and you are doing this sacrifice. How much intent he will have versus your Sishya. Compared to Sishya, even your son is better because your son feels all your emotions, right? But better than son is yourself, if you can, because in Kali Yuga, the most potent form of worship is one's own surrender to the Lord, right? So that is considered the highest. Why did I answer this?
I think about the surrender, Prabhuji. I think that's the reason. But thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's real information.
Okay, we'll end the call here. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.